Good evening and welcome to tonight's episode of the Ought to Know Better podcast. This is a main podcast. It is season 5, episode 26, believe it or not. I am Gilly and I am joined by my able assistants for the evening. Carl, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing well.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
And by Luke, who returns for the second consecutive night. How are you doing, Luke?
Aronson is a baller. Aronson is a baller.
And this man was on talking about it last night and he said he didn't want to talk much about it tonight. He's already off. He's already away with it. Like,
I just want to know who's paying him for that sort of fucking take. We'll get an introduction going and we'll get into...
Hi, this is Don Matteo and you are listening to the Ought to Know Better podcast. Let's do this.
Leeds are shit. We're recording, you know.
Oh, shit.
We're the good start. I don't think we've got the personnel.
You can fucking laugh all you want, you absolute bellend.
I think about things. That's why you lot are idiots.
A melted version of a dick that's been shrink wrapped.
The absolute elite shithousery of this. That'll do us. So, I mean... I don't really know where to start on this one because you know, the emotions as they were coming out of the Sunderland game, I didn't really sleep, and you know, we try to come down off the wall and whatever else. I guess, Carl, you are situated in the ground, close to the away fans, in the midst of the battleground that is the South Stand at times. Try and sum up in as few words as you can just what it felt like when that second one went in that situation, in that location.
Absolutely mental. It was the first time I'd fallen over in ages celebrating a goal. It went absolutely ballistic. It was mad. It was probably the craziest goal celebration this season. Without a doubt, I thought it was just bonkers. And yeah, I'd love another couple of games like that where, well, not to the extent where we leave it till the last 5 minutes or anything, you know, but like something along the lines of where we could celebrate like that again. I'd just be like, yeah, have it all day long. It was insane, like absolutely insane. There was people at my seat that were fucking down near where Smarty is, like, you know what I mean? And it's like it was just mad. It was mad. Really enjoyed it. I don't, like you said, you were in the cheese wedge and you were holding on to your loved ones for dear life.
Mate, honestly, I had our lass in one arm and I had my young'un in the other arm, trying to keep him safe, and nearly launched him down the stand.
Gail probably wouldn't have minded either. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm bruised. I don't care.
No, it was, I was cheese upper. Usually when I'm in cheese, I'm cheese lower, which means you get all the noise from behind you, but it's not quite as vociferous. It's not quite as bouncy. But we were cheese upper for this one, and it went off. It were bedlam in there. You know, there were limbs flying all over. Just before we do get any further into it, I just wanted to pop this up because there was one unfortunate fan that saw himself take a visit to the hospital after the game, and he tweeted it out and showed he's dislocated his shoulder, and Strike got wind of this and he's responded and just wished him well and said, how can we sort this out? Alfie FG it is. He said, all I want is for you to score a hat-trick on Monday and promotion by the middle of March so that I don't have to dislocate my shoulder on the final day of the season. Although a hug and a signed shirt wouldn't go amiss if I'm being greedy, and it seems that Strike's sorting that out, so that's quite nice. Yeah, it's just, Luke, is there anybody in this team that's not likable? It's a very likable team, isn't it, really, on the face of it?
I would have said probably Matteo Joseph a couple of weeks ago, but even he's actually becoming, I'm actually becoming to like him. I don't know if anyone saw his Instagram post, and look, he's probably taken quite a lot of the flack recently based on his performances and you know, the online conversations between who's the best and who should be our number 9 and all that sort of thing. Whether he's seen any of that, honestly, I don't know. But it was becoming, and probably unfairly unlikable, but simply because just because of the group of people who supported him, like Really, I think that was the only that would be my only reason, but it's probably completely unfair. But no, I don't think there is. Even I mentioned yesterday on B&C that Willie Nonto leading the celebrations, not had hardly a kick for a few weeks.
Yeah.
You know, into Italy international this time last season and the season before, and he's not even getting a kick under Farke at the moment. But he's shown a level of maturity now, and I think I feared once upon a time he'd have been down that tunnel kicking and ringing on the phone to his agent saying, "Get me out of here." But there's none of that. The camaraderie, the connection, the chemistry is very, very that much there, and it's beautiful. It's lovely to see. It makes you enjoy watching it.
It does, doesn't it?
It really does. It really does. No,
Him and Tanaka in front of the South Stand was quality, where they had the little dance around. Yeah. It was so good. Like the buzz around the place at the moment is absolutely incredible, considering people were moaning about boring Farke ball a couple of months ago. You know, it's like we're probably one of the most deranged fan bases on the planet. Let's be perfectly honest. We complain about the football, and then we just congratulate them on the camaraderie that they have at the moment, and you're like, what the fuck? Do I sign myself in, or what's the crack? Like, you know, it's all of it mad at the moment. Like,
it is, and I can see that there were a couple of there were a few images that you used on the pod last night, and all my hands up. I've not watched or listened to it yet, but I just put a couple that were my favourites, and the first one is Rodon in the background celebrating him in the foreground, and it's just for me, it just gives that balance between the emotions where. You can have those elations and you can have those down moments when it don't go in your favour, you know, 95th minute or whatever it was. But I think at their place it was 93rd minute when that one happened.
It was about 94, 95, wasn't it? I think it was the last kick of the game, wasn't it?
But so it felt like a defeat, didn't it? That one. So we've kind of been there on both sides of it. So it was nice to get that. But the reason I mention him is because Melio were particularly enjoying himself with the Sunderland. Well, you can see it all going off in the background there on the pitch, which we will obviously come on to. But he was making the most of it, I think. And you know, there were a couple of times when over the course of the past 2 or 3 games, he's made some really important saves at important times, I think. And you know, fair play. I think we all, or many of us, certainly I said on here, that it would a gamble if Farke sticks with him. And I still felt like it was, because if something had gone wrong really early after the last mistake that we had, it was a Hull one, wasn't it? If something had gone wrong really quickly after that, then you're in even a worse position. But he stuck by him and he's got through it. And you know, it's how many clean sheets do you need to have before you can start saying it's going well enough? Just in
conceded one goal in 10.5 hours of football,
which is just no one would have. You know, what I don't even think you'd have got odds on that being the case. The odds would have been that long. The bookies wouldn't have been offering it. Just the last one in terms of celebrations. Gilavogi about to pick Farke up after he's fallen on his ass and celebrating to the sky.
I think he knocked him on his ass.
Did he?
Oh, did he? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Gilavogi actually tweeted about it, saying "sorry, Gaffer" or something like that. Let me just try and find it really, really quickly.
He probably wouldn't need to put any effort in to do that, would he? He's a big lad. I know Farke's not small, but he is a unit.
Yeah.
Just while Luke's finding that, by the way, I'm on Cobra tonight, so if anybody wants to send some beers to the pods,
I'm on protein yogurt.
I'm on the Aldi sparkling water. We're probably more chance of getting sponsored by Aldi than we do beer at this stage. Like, you know what I mean?
You guys are showing me up here. I'm on a diet, and I'm one drinking a giant bottle of beer, and you're on good stuff.
But you see, that could be a low-calorie beer. That so you could be all right.
It could be. But it's not.
To be fair, this is probably fucking heaving with calories, to be fair.
Oh, it will be?
Yeah,
it's
out, though.
175 for that little ball. I mean, it's hard.
Wow.
Joshua Gilavogi. From experience, nothing happens by chance. For our supporters, our families, the staff, the employees at LUFC, and everyone who believes in us, we will give it our all till the end of the season. Mott. P.S. Sorry, coach, for the energy, but the emotion was just too strong.
He was just too strong.
It is. It's crazy, isn't it? But so you know, they call it limbs, don't they? But really, genuinely, it was
Yeah.
people's limbs getting broken and left in the aisles and whatever else. So, it's almost like the mask slipped with Farke, isn't it? Because he's so collected most of the time, almost all of the time. He's such a cool customer. Look, it is nice to see the human aspect of him and see him enjoying it. You know, he'll have gone for a big slab of cake and a coffee, but it's good to see the passion and the emotion.
Absolutely, you love to see. Look, we see some of our most favorite recent managers have been very, very similar. I would argue, you know, don't show a lot of emotion, and then when things are going, you know, we refer famously to that famous video of when we'd actually gone up and Bielsa's going around hugging Calvin Phillips, calling him the best. And I have seen resurfaced today the Bielsa video where he runs up to Paddy Bamford when he scores that belter in training and hugs him, and Paddy's just strolling back and letting him run the length of the pitch to get to him. So yeah, it is really nice to say. You won't seen this, but Warnock was on Sky Sports News the other night, and he basically had an half-hour chat with him after the playoff final against Southampton. And he talks like the best mates now, but they're obviously not. But he said that he doesn't change no matter what. He doesn't show that emotion, and then he went on to do that last night. So it was quite timely, really. But look, it means a lot to everybody, and you can just see not just Daniel Farke, but even his assistants, even players that are probably just clicking a few buttons and analysing data, and even players who aren't getting on the pitch, you know, use Nonto as an example, but Schmidt as well, he was joining in with the celebration. Gilavugi is almost a cheerleader because he's not that great at football, but we brought him in, and it's almost like Farke's cherry picked somebody to like that to come in and install that level of belief and you know, he's experienced, he's been there and done it, and he's just almost, although for footballing reasons probably not a perfect fit, he just seemed to fit and he's just gelled, and it's just helping all the team. I just think that level of belief and I don't even know.
Togetherness.
I haven't got expletives strong enough to explain it. So it's just lovely to watch. And honestly, I haven't felt like this since the season probably we went up under Marcelo.
Is everyone enjoying it now, lads?
I've always been enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I've always had Farke's back. I've always said I think I know what he's doing. Look, has he got a much better team on paper than Marcelo Bielsa? Yes. Are we always going to have comparisons? Yes. But only because of how we feel about the football club, and it's completely feelings driven.
Yeah. It's absolute emotion, but the emotion's what we're in it for, isn't it? If it didn't have emotion, then it wouldn't have the appeal that it does. Just on that, then, you've probably all seen the updates around the yellow card for Farke and the fact that the FA have said that it's not something that can even be talked about. It's just done and so on. But given that, even if you think of it not as a fan, but as a business, the product itself, given that it doesn't have any value without the emotional attachments that it has and without the fans, Luke, I'll ask you this one first, and then Carl will come to you for your take. In it madness to yellow card Farke and then effectively give him a touchline ban just for showing a bit of emotion? He didn't slow the play down. He didn't get involved in play. Isn't that mad?
Well, I think it's absolutely mad, and it is. It's absolutely crazy. First of all, none of the players who came on the pitch got a yellow card.
Yeah.
Secondly, Klopp never got a yellow card when he did it.
Yep.
And it was there on that bit of pitch.
Wagner did it. Run the length of the pitch against us and did it. We've seen so many people do it. And look, are they just trying to set an example out of Leeds United? Probably. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? I say. Do you know what?
Yeah. Carry on, man.
It's chaos. There should be some human element to refereeing, and I think probably lower down the leagues there probably is. Taking his shirt off to reveal a rest in peace or for a friend or a team member or something, family member. Should you really be getting booked for something like that? Using your platform to promote something that you believe in and love, as long as it's not got political value to it and things like that, and we don't want to go down those roads, then absolutely let him just, have a quiet word in his ear and say, come on, mate, just strip it back, keep control. But yeah, to book him's absolute chaos.
Yeah.
Carl? Yeah, I thought it was stupid. Like, and there was I was listening to, I think it was Square Ball or Don't Go to Bed Just Yet, but they were talking about Farke not being on the sideline and how Wilder likes to try and play those psychological games. And there's obviously Fergal here in the comments basically saying, do you think his sideline ban is a blessing in disguise as it's a side eye in reverse to Hamface? I quite love Hamface, to be fair. But do you think because Farke isn't there, is it going to make a difference to how Wilder acts on the sideline and how it might influence his style of play and how he approaches the game, because he hasn't got that chance to be psychologically a fuckwit on the sideline?
Yeah, I mean, do I think it's a blessing in disguise? Well, we can certainly talk about it in hindsight afterwards, Fergal. Thanks for the super chat. It's a good question, and we probably can't answer it until 10 o'clock on Monday night. Simply because if we lose, we might be saying if Farke was down on the touchline, we might have won, and if we win, it could well be a blessing in disguise. I'm undecided on that, if I'm honest with you, Fergal. Gilly? Yeah.
It is difficult, isn't it? I mean, it almost seems like, what's the point? Because he can go into the changing rooms before and after and at half time. He just can't be on the touchline. It's a touchline ban only. But he'll have an earpiece and he'll be wired up and his messages will be getting out. Literally, all he's not able to do is just stand in that bit of the pitch. And I don't know. Does that have any impact? Is that just a flexing of muscles by the authorities? I don't think there's any value to that yellow card. I don't think it does anything. I don't think it achieves anything. And ultimately, he didn't slow the game down. He wasn't antagonistic to any of their fans or players. He didn't interact with any players while there other than Leeds players that were on the bench. I think the human aspect of, yeah, okay, you shouldn't be on the pitch. I'm going to come over. I'm going to have a word. Don't come on the pitch. If you come on pitch again, I'm going to book you. Fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
could it be psychologically detrimental to the players on the pitch? Potentially. If you're playing, you're used to having him there as a leader and barking the options, and just even when the subs are going on the pitch, he's giving them a little bit in their ear or whatever. There's an element to it that I feel could be detrimental. But to be honest, I've not looked at it from Fergal's perspective that it could be a blessing in disguise. So look, I suppose it depends where you're looking at it from, I suppose. But I can't sit here and say that it's going to be a blessing in disguise. If we win, absolutely, Fergal. Yeah, you've earned your €5 by just getting it right that early. But yeah, I'm not sure.
Did you see him interacting with Ayling when Ayling I think he was going to pick a ball up to take a throw in, and Hamface put his shoulder into him? You see that?
No.
When he was playing for Borough. And it's shit like that. And Farke wouldn't stand for that, would he? Farke would have gone over and sorted it out. So I guess that is one aspect of it. But yeah, it's one of it's difficult, isn't it? So yeah, it's one of them. So
I think we've enough in the squad and enough on the bench that Farke trusts his staff enough to be able to relay any messages. Like, you notice as well, like, you see it when you're at the games as well. Farke isn't like massively animated a lot of the time. He sits in the dugout for quite a reasonable amount of time. So maybe like he doesn't feel the need to keep, having at them the whole time. So it might not make a difference, bar what Luke mentioned, maybe giving a word in the ear before they go on or something like that. But I think his staff are trusted enough. They followed him around for God knows how many years. It's like he's their Bielsa, like the boys were with Bielsa, you know what I mean? So I think there's enough there to kind of keep the boat steady, and I can't imagine any of his staff will take shite off Wilder anyway, so,
No.
Also true.
Steve Brown said here, I don't know how true this is, because I'm pretty sure, who did we play recently? Was it? And their manager was in the stands. He was wired up, wasn't he?
Yeah, who was it? It was Paul Heckenbottom was in the stands there for Preston against Burnley, or was that by choice?
I can't remember who it was, but I do remember somebody being wired up for communicated with bench. So
We
that's
beat them recently as well.
I'm nearly sure it was Preston and
It was
Burnley.
Watford.
there.
No, it wasn't Watford. It was Covent. No, it was Millwall. Was it Millwall? Or was it Cardiff? Cardiff. It was Cardiff. It was Cardiff. I can't remember, honestly.
He's not allowed.
You are right. It has happened.
Yeah, it was Cardiff. And they said he can't have any. I'm 99% positive I've seen the earpiece in when we played Cardiff. Anyway, can't have done.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
unless Joe's got it wrong, obviously.
Yeah. Well, there's even Danny said here. Danny said they can't have an earpiece in, so who knows?
Yeah. Well, he's not allowed
Scooby's
to.
made a point here. Scooby's
go on.
made a point here of what message does it send to the world if Robbie Fowler can't snort the touchline, and I think that's fair. It's an iconic aspect of the Premier League era, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, very much, very much.
Okay, so just one point I wanted to make on the game, and I know that you will have spoken about this, Luke, but Carl, while the game was going on, if you just look at that momentum graph, I mean, it is madness. There's barely anything for Sunderland there. Did it feel like that to you? You know, if you look at the stats and the amount of possession we had, the shots we had compared to theirs, the corners we had, you know, we're ahead in everything. Did it feel like that to you? Did you think it was always coming?
Well, the first 10 minutes kind of felt very much like it shows there that they were on top, and Meslier made some great saves. He made that double save, and I don't think it didn't feel like they had a lot of possession, but they tried to hit us on the break quite regularly. And I suppose when you're only hitting the team on the break, when you turn possession over, you're not going to have much of a momentum, because if the ball's turned over again and you don't have it for 10 minutes again, then sure, you're not going to get much of that. But they seemed to break quite dangerously quite a few times, but that's not going to show on the graph because it's not a perceived period of pressure like we've got on them. It's just an instant kind of thing. So it felt like they did that quite a lot. But I wouldn't equate that to having a lot of possession. It was more when the ball broke down and they took advantage of that, and then they were able to kind of burst forward quite quickly. But it didn't. Yeah, the graph kind of clears it up. Like the momentum was completely with us the whole time in the possession stats. But yeah, it's just those kind of breakaways that essentially look like they've had a lot of the ball, but they didn't really. So I don't know. I thought that first 10 minutes was a bit mad. I thought, geez, if we go a goal down here, they probably deserve it, because there were balls to the wall at that stage. And then Mez made that save, and I was like, right, yeah, we're going to be sound here. And then they fucking scored, didn't they? So what do I know?
Some goal though, wasn't it? It was a good goal they scored.
Yeah,
you know,
he rolled Ampadu very well.
Ampadu's a good player. You know, let's not throw a baby out of the bathwater. He's a good player. I don't think we need to hammer him for it, and he'll know. He'll absolutely know that he's been done. But he's just lost a one-on-one. But to roll him in that way, and effectively, you know, to my mind, you're risking a penalty the way that Ampadu pulled him back. He had both arms on him, pulling him back, but he had such strength, and then to finish it in bottom corner like that with a plumber, you know, that it was a good goal. They didn't really offer much other than that. You know, you're right. Early on, they had the possession, and it showed in the momentum graph. But we had so much of it. I guess, Luke, we've talked about Farke's changes a lot over the course of this season and last. Were it a surprise to you, given the number of free kicks that we were getting, that it took so long to get Rothwell on?
Yes, and you know, we were getting them in dangerous areas and a lot of corners as well. However, I was still shocked at the subs that first stage of subs that he made, that first interchange. It was, I could not believe he was bringing a central centre back and a arguably midfielder, a like for like midfielder, shall we say, with Tanaka. So Tanaka arguably our best player, you know, debatable, but then for him to take off, who else did he take off? Gruev, wasn't it? He took
Gruev, yeah.
No, he took Gruev and Tanaka off at the same time, didn't he? Replace them with
Strike
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Rockwell,
and
yeah.
moved Ampadu forward.
So he took two
Yeah.
midfielders off and brought a defender and a midfielder on, you see. And obviously it meant Ampadu moving forward. But yeah, I was screaming it with telly. I was saying, what the fuck is this guy up to, man? Do you know what I mean? He's tactically inept.
That
he's
old
not
chestnut.
I've not said that once, and I could see that. Honestly, I did feel it a little bit, and I could see the head loss going all over social media, and it was just. I just thought, you want to win a game at home that you 1-0 down against potential rivals in the race for promotion, and you bring on a 6'4" centre back who rarely scores, missed a penalty in his last appearance, and bring Rothwell on. But look, the game did need a Rothwell. Now, is that down to Farke's absolute genius for bringing him on when he did, and knowing we were going to win the game 2-1 and not tiring him out early, playing the first 70 odd minutes or 68 minutes, or whatever it was? Probably not, but I can understand why he played Gruev in that fixture, who I thought probably had one of his worst games for us of late. Since he's been back from injury anyway. But look, who are we to judge? Who the fuck are we to judge?
Yep.
Well, yeah, he's got it right. And managers live and die by the decisions, and he absolutely can dine out on that for some time, because I think that the stats show it's not Johnny Brown. Johnny Brown's a regular watcher. It was Johnny, what's his name on Twitter that does all the stats? Johnny Cooper. Was saying that Leeds United's history has not had two substitutes come on and get 2 assists and 2 goals between them ever.
Really?
Ever.
So that it's pretty crazy stuff. That so we talk about records and breaking records. Well, there's a nice record for us to have. And you touched on Tanaka being our best player there. Did you mean on the night, or did you mean season to date?
No. I mean probably. He probably is our best player, full stop, isn't he? For me,
right, in the squad, you mean, rather than on the night?
He can do everything. I don't think he was that effective against Sunderland, I'll be honest, but he did nullify any of their threats, so he did his job.
I agree.
No mug, do you know what I mean? And Rig, and they didn't. I mean, just showing that momentum graph shows that he did his job. Him and Gruev did their jobs. Do you know what I mean? The things that they didn't do too well were the luxuries, the things that we come to expect from Gruev and Tanaka. Gruev's got a better delivery than that. We all know that. Tanaka has probably got a little bit more to give in terms of with the ball than probably what he gave against Sunderland. But they did their job in nullifying the other two. So
yeah,
it's okay.
So the other thing as well is that there was all that hype around Lefay. He did very, very little. Like Michael here in the comments makes a good point as well. He's like, Lefay did nothing after that first run down the line. He squared and Gruev slipped. He was silent after that. He was so silent that Bogle put him on his arse at one point when he went 1-on-1 with him.
He did.
And you're kind of thinking, well, you've got Tanaka there who, like you said, Luke, didn't really perform to the standards that we're used to, and Gruev's dead balls weren't great either. But to say coming into the game that they were banging on, about him, going, "Oh, he's the best player in the chat." Like I said, I think I might have said it on the pod last week. I was like, he's not actually come up against anyone capable enough of giving him a tough game until he
Jack
played
Clark
us.
was better for them against us last season.
Yeah, and it just showed there that they might get their little hyper head off now and kind of take a little bit of a step back and go, all right, maybe he's a little bit average because he's come up against the top quality right back in the championship. Do
you know what was good to see, Carl? It was really nice to see. Bogle got skinned that first time. And in fact, arguably a couple of times with a Fee's touch the second time, I think it was. He just sort of did a fancy little flick and it just beat Bogle Orleans up. But he learnt very, very quickly. And Lefay had no answer to him defensively in terms of when Bogle had the ball at his feet. He megged him, he put him on his ass, and he had a nightmare. Lefay will be having nightmares about that. That's probably. I mean, I didn't know much about him, but if the online stats elite are to believe, he's the best player the championship's ever been signed in the championship. So, but no, it looked very, very average. And as I said before, Jack Clark was far more dangerous for them against us last season than Lefay was.
There was one
I
ball.
think he is a good player. He is a good player.
Oh yeah.
But I think Bogle's playing so well at the moment. And you are right that early on, it looked like that you were going to struggle to get to grips with him. but very, very quickly he did. You're right, and so I do think he's a good player, but he just. He wasn't allowed to settle. He wasn't allowed to get on the ball. They were in his face. And I think they were in our faces for the first 10, 15 minutes. And you can see from the momentum graph that was true. It didn't feel like they could keep it up. And yet the way that Bogle dealt with Lafay basically was fronting that up. He was like, you're my man. You've beaten me once or twice. You're not doing it again. And then he started taking piss, as you say, megsed him. And that were delicious. And left him on his ass. And was it Rothwell as well when he dropped his shoulder right at the end? Was it Lafay that he? Because it was also Lafay that was sat on the pitch, wasn't it, with that picture with them all celebrating back.
It's actually here if you want to watch it back. I put it in the brand last night and we actually played it. So here it is, just for everyone in case you missed it, because it is worth watching again.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the most silky of skills to get around a man, like, but fucking hell, he's put him on the there.
It works. No, I do rate him. I think he's a good player, but we just didn't let him get into the game and get his team up. So I think they played really well. So I just wanted to touch on that and off the back of the Tanaka comment, and just ask each of you, Luke. I know you'll have covered this last night, but who you thought your man of the match was?
So I said when I asked them last night, I asked to withdraw Strike from the option because it's obviously came on, scored 2 goals. You're going to give him the man of the match for that. For me, it was between. Well, there was 2 already mentioned before I managed to go up. Sorry, Carl, I'm going to probably name everybody that you're going to name, but Bogle was named, and as was Rothwell. But actually, for me, based on the performance, based on seeing him absolutely barking orders, controlling the game, bringing the ball forward, creating so many options, it was Joe Rodon.
Yeah, Carl is looking pissed off now because I think you did take Rodon out of his mouth, but he's on mute, so we can't hear him.
It sounds better on mute.
Oh yeah, I'm back. I was going to say Rodon, but I was also going to throw Mez in there as well because he made some, a couple of important saves. The double save at the start, and then there was 1 or 2 where, I put my house on Mez 1-on-1 every time. Like he's probably one of the best 1-on-1 keepers in the league. And the way he smothered those 2 efforts in the first 10 minutes was fantastic. And then to keep his concentration going for the whole game was he's been under a lot of pressure. And like you said, how many games is it now? 6 games, before today without conceding or something like that. So
it conceded in 1 game. Well, it conceded in 1, hadn't he, in the previous 6. Which is a mad run.
That's like to say it's a keeper that doesn't have any confidence and people are doubting him and all that. I know it's a lot to do with the defence in front of him, but he can only be as good as the defence in front of him. So it says a lot, Well,
but Trafford's getting all the plaudits at Burnley.
Yeah. And it's the defence in front of him that's doing it as much as he is. Yeah.
No, that's fair. I think the names you all mentioned are fair. I think for me, especially early on, I think it was Hume that had cleaned Solomon out. Yeah. It was a good tackle. I'm not complaining about the tackle at all, but there were a bit of afters and he bit at him while he were on floor and after he'd tackled him. And I thought Solomon kind of reacted really well to that because it was almost like, well, if you're going to do that to me, I'm going to do this to you. And he drove us forward, maybe not quite to the extent that Dan James did against Cardiff, but it was against different opposition. And, Cardiff and Sunderland are very, very different propositions. But for me, I thought Solomon did a lot in the game as well. I would probably go Rodon. So we're all fair on that, but I thought Solomon had an impact.
What I would say about Solomon, though, Gilly, is they doubled up on him. It very much felt like in that first half, whilst we had a lot of the momentum, it was almost a rewind to last season when we were relying a lot on Somerville out on that left wing. Give it to Somerville, something will happen. And they learned early on that was going to be one of our options. I think and it seems to be when we're a little bit. I don't want to say clueless because that's probably a little bit harsh, but when we're a little bit void of ideas, we do tend to just try and give it to Solomon and hope he does something. Now they picked up on that early and they doubled up on him, and it was not. I don't think he was ineffective because he got some balls in, and we probably should have got a penalty from one of them. But they neutralised him quite well. He wasn't allowed to get too close to the box with the ball at his feet, and he was crossing from quite a way out. So, fair play to Sunderland for picking up on that. To be fair,
there was quite. I did notice there was quite a bit of interchanging going on between James and Solomon in the first maybe 20-25 minutes because, like Luke mentioned, they did realise that earlier on with Solomon. So they kind of avoided doubling up too much because with the swapping and over and back a bit, but yeah, you could see it. It goes back to last season when we didn't have any ideas. We were a bit predictable and it was easy to defend against. But I think the way it is now, even if Solomon comes off, we've got two players in Nanto and Ramazani that are going to offer something completely different. Like Nanto will cut inside a lot more and not try and go on the outside for getting the ball in squared or crossing it in. We know Nanto is more of I'm going to just go for goal if I can, so. And then you've got Ramazani, who's, look, let's be honest, he's slowly coming back to what he was before his injury. He set off like a rocket at the start of the season, and there was no stopping him. But to be able to bring on talent like that to change things up a bit is a privilege that we've very rarely had.
It is. I also thought that Sirkin played Dan James very well. He didn't get on the outside of him much at all. He had to come inside a lot, and I think that was the handle.
Should have had about 5 bookings though.
Yeah, also true. And I think there were 2 penalties. I think the handball is a penalty because he's got his arms out, and I think the one on Tanaka was a rugby tackle, and we're not playing rugby, so I think there's 2 penalties there for us. But. That aside, just one last question, so I want to move off this and onto some other stuff. I have seen some people on the Twitterverse and other places trying to make out that Ramazani's pass was on purpose. I'm not having any of that. Are you?
Yeah,
I'm sure he'll claim it.
Yeah,
Oscar Mario genuinely thinks that it was an outside of the foot.
No,
I'm picking Rothwell out here. I think I saw something on the square ball as well. I've not been able to watch the match ball, but I saw a clip and it was it were looking for somebody at back post. I'm not having that. It would have fucking shot. I'm not having any of that at all.
He's completely sliced it, hasn't he? If he wants to claim it as a pass, fair play to him, but we all fucking know.
I mean, it'll go down as a completed pass, won't it? He kicked the ball and it found a man.
Yeah,
or a shot off target. I'm not sure, but we'll go down and run too.
It would have been terrible because it wouldn't have even gone out for a corner.
Right. Okay. So, just to move us on slightly, I without wanting to get too excited, I did spend just a tiny little bit of time today just looking at our remaining fixtures and the remaining fixtures of the opponents that we've got as well. And I just wanted to share some of the stats. I love a spreadsheet. We know I love a spreadsheet, and I know you can't see it particularly well, but I can put it out on socials.
I've got a big
ultimately what this table shows is the fixtures that are left and the current points that each side has got and the maximum points each side can get. What it does show us is that between Sheffield United and ourselves, we are significantly ahead, I would have said, of Sunderland. It's very, very difficult to see Sunderland remaining in a title race or maybe even top 2. I saw, again, it was on the square ball, but I saw tweets about it rather than on the coverage. Beren Cross, who's now with the Athletic, that we've had on our podcast before, obviously, talking about it potentially even being a 2-horse race for the title now, not even a 3-horse race.
Interesting.
Luke, is it too early for that?
Far too early, mate. And I know I've already waxed lyrical about the similarities I felt between Stroik's second goal last night and Pablo's against Swansea. And I know there were different stages of the season, and I know it almost felt like we were definitely up when Pablo scored. I don't think that yet, but it was almost. In fact, I was talking to somebody about it, and it just felt like the moment that changed. There was just that sense of belief there straight after that goal. I thought if we'd have lost the other night, Monday night, would I think now that we're winning the league? But we've only won 3 extra points from that position. Now I believe that we're going to walk the league. It's mad. and look, it's probably not as telling as that moment, and it certainly isn't, numerically, but it just felt like that could be our Pablo moment of this season. I think But
the
no, it's
belief
absolutely
one,
far too early to tell. I think if we beat Sheffield United Monday night, then it would be very difficult for us to fuck it up from there.
5-point cap if we win on Monday night.
Yeah.
So
5 points.
okay. But are Sunderland still in the title hunt at this point in time? 62 points, we're on 72.
No.
Why is Sheffield United playing Reading in your list?
I'll be honest. This is AI generated. It's put that on it.
It's proper screwed you there, man.
It has, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's fucked you.
I'll have another look at that.
Thanks, H. Thanks, H.
Yeah, well spotted.
We do know he's a perfectionist. So to pick that out will be absolutely hurting him.
Oh, it is.
Hurting him more than him being wrong about Aronson.
That's bothered me.
Now.
Well, I'm not.
Jay's in the comments. Roman numerals. Where the fuck is he seeing Roman numerals?
What?
Yours has also got Leeds away. Sunderland at home to Leeds on the last day.
I've taken it off now.
God no.
The only thing I did check was the amount of points remaining and the amount of points possible. But I also had it work out what the remaining league fixtures average position. I don't know whether that's right or not, so I'll have to go and actually do some work myself instead of just getting ChatGPT to do it for me. But it did say that our opponents are lower in the league on average than those that the others in the title race are playing against. So yeah, that was just a bit of fun that I just thought we'd have a look at and see if we can get ourselves a bit excited about it.
That's what you get, Gilly. That's just quite proof there that robots aren't going to run the world.
That's it. So one thing I do want to move us on to, I think that this might be quickly becoming one of the most favoured elements of this show. Is this?
Hey, oh, has got a shit tick this week, my little sparrow fact.
I don't know if you guys have brought any. I've got a small handful that were put into the podcast and two of my own. So I'll just step us through it. So the first one, I think, came from Jay and was put into the pod chat. So this looks like a talk shite bit, doesn't it? And basically, it looks like they're talking about. Well, the headline is Leeds close to Premier League return. Somebody, DJ Dave, has responded with both Leeds and Sunderland, the bigger clubs, and a lot of the Premier League clubs. And Maggie Magpie has responded with, and a lot of Championship clubs are bigger than Leeds, Blackburn, and Sheffield Wednesday for a start. So I think that's the element that Jay was aiming for, with that being a shit take. Luke, would you be all right doing a poll for this one, please? Thank you. The next one is Martin Hopewell. This came to my attention from a link that had been sent for some sale items, who thinks that, fantastic, when you've already bought the family all 3 shirts already at full price, Leeds, you need to sort something out for those that do early doors, otherwise what's the point? And what he's saying is, to maximum sale for the club, a deal at the front end would be more profitable. And the take there is actually, what he wants them to do is put the items on sale immediately, rather than towards the end of the season, and can't see the benefit of that. So that's a bit of an odd one.
It is true that they don't teach you proper stuff in school, really, isn't it? When you come out with shite like that. Fucking hell. I hope that guy doesn't
know what business that guy runs.
Yeah.
I bet it's not doing very well.
No, at all. Here, have it all for free. It's fine.
Take it for free. I'll charge more people. The more people that come, I'll increase the price.
Yeah. That's it.
Fairs. Barnsyard99 said on Twitter, losing the game and you're being strike on, is that a joke? And this is one of my favourites. So I tagged Shit Take of Week. So it is at Shit Take of Week. If you see a shit take, you should tag us. And not only did I see that as a shit take, but I also got a bite. He said, piss off, you ball.
Oh, Gilly, making friends online.
That's it. And the last one is, I mean, the guy calls himself Leeds United the troll. He does appear, it might be that he's just saying this for reactions. It's almost certainly that, isn't it? And the attention that we're giving him might be what he craves. I think as a USMNT fan, which tells you everything he knows about football. But this one is in response to somebody saying that Rafinha did keep us up and wasn't a flop, as it was asserted in an original tweet. And his response is, kept Leeds up in what sense? Leeds fans have this weird revisionist history. Scored 1 goal in final 10 matches, went missing for 3 months. Great player, but is just as much of the reason Leeds were fighting relegation. I mean, it's just mind-blowing, isn't it, that somebody might think that.
Do you know what? He left out there that the whole team carried Rafinha, and Rafinha didn't fucking do a thing. And, like, it just... I genuinely just despair sometimes. I know he's probably looking for likes and fucking aggro, but just shut up. Shut up.
Just shut up.
Shut up. Fed up listening to your shite. But yeah, so that's definitely a shite take for me anyway. I don't know if Luke has put the poll up yet, but we'll see in a moment.
We will. We will. I absolutely totally failed because the competition. I just read that. The conversation just naturally moved on, but I did miss this out as well, so we just have to track back a second.
Auto no better predictions.
It's not terrible news for Luke. It's not terrible news for Luke because he's still up towards the top of the table. But Jesus Christ, Lee Fry is running away with it. He got one spot on again, another 5 points. So he's now on 59 points. I don't know. He's not even putting any money on any of this, I don't think.
Has he got a magic 8-ball or something? And he's just shaking it every time there's a game. And it's like, yeah, here you go.
You know what the annoying thing is? I went to go 2-1 I went to go 2-1 at Sunderland, and I looked at Friars to see what he'd put, and I thought, I've got to go different. Got to make that gap up. And it's just made the gap even bigger.
Because you went 2-0 in end, didn't you?
I went 2-0,
yeah. Yeah.
I went 4-1 for fuck's sake. Where was I after?
Well, I went 3-1. I was only 1 goal off, but it wasn't going to be happening in the last 3 seconds after the kickoff, after the second goal, was it? So that were gone some time before. But I just continue dropping like a stone on sheer principle of everybody else getting more points around me. Jay got himself 3 points for this one, so he's moved up slightly. Jay's still up there. Lockie's up there. I couldn't find a prediction from him, so Luke's now 5 points ahead of Lockie, but then Lee 9 points for Luke. It's a big lead to have at this point in the season.
Yeah, I need to start being more realistic with my fucking predictions.
So just one other thing that I just wanted to mention is I saw this picture. I think that the photographer's name is Richard Story. It does say at the bottom, but I don't have my reading gigs on. So it was a picture, I believe, of last night. It was shared this morning. Not last night, night before. It was shared over the past day or so. It's just a cracking picture. And I think there were a couple of piss takes about the stadium plans that have been tweeted over the past day or so. But I just hope they don't lose what they've got, because on nights like that, it is immense. One thing that Gail said to me in the Peacock before the game was, I'm expecting a Leicester. I mean, the end of the Leicester game went off as well, didn't it? So it's just, I really hope that when they do make it, I don't have a season ticket. I want a season ticket. I'm on the season ticket waiting list. I want the expansion because I want more seats and I want a season ticket, but I don't want them to lose what it's got. There's a balance, isn't there?
Yeah, it's a fine balance. And Luke's still on mute, so I think I'll just take this spot from him for a second.
Sorry, I am on mute. I've got a poorly little girl outside of me and she's not feeling very well. So
bless.
All right, man.
Oh, bless.
Yeah, I think if they're going to get it done, they're going to do it right, because they've absolutely hammered home the fact that they don't want to lose the atmosphere. So whatever they do needs to be something. It just needs to be in a way where you can keep the noise inside the ground and lose as little of it as humanly possible, and get it reverberating around the roofs of the new stands or whatever. But yeah, I don't want when you go to away games and the Old Trafford's huge, so the roar from a goal is far louder than you'd get in our stadium. But the noise leaves it. Like it's not a well-designed stadium. I just hope they don't fuck it up. Like, did you say they'd release plans?
No. There were a couple of people taking a piss. I was just saying about hoping that because we do expect the changes. You know, I think they've made it clear that they're wanting to do an expansion of the number of seats, whatever that looks like. It's just a case of hoping that they get the balance right more than anything else.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah, it's something that's very important. Like, and it's a bit disappointing that they won't be able to do anything with the South Stand. Like, they could hopefully, if they get more executive boxes and hospitality, they can take them bleeding shipping containers out the back of the South Stand and put in more seats there. That'd be a way to go. Like, they're losing about 2,500, 3,000 seats there alone. Like,
yeah, but it's the money you can charge on the hospitality, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but if you don't sell them as season tickets and just sell them as match day tickets, still worth it. Like, then
I still don't get benefit, Carl. I'm not having this.
I want louder stadium. That's all I want. I want a louder stadium.
I find it crazy that you're talking about Old Trafford like you like it and like you say.
No, I'm just on about the sound.
Is what you said.
Well, no, I like how loud.
You're saying Old Trafford sounds better than Elland Road?
No, not in that sense. Like, you know, if you go to Highbury, it's like a fucking library, so you don't get to, you know, understand a 60,000 crowd sounds like.
I can't believe you're saying these things, Carl. Not about Old Trafford. I mean, come on.
It's a shithole. Like, I'm not saying anything like that, and they're not necessarily loud. It's just when a goal goes in, it's just you want to hear that at Elland Road as well. Like, you want to hear that loudness, but you hear it for 90 minutes rather than just when a goal goes in.
Are we having any of this, Luke?
I don't care.
Absolutely not. No, I think he's probably full of shit.
I just want to fucking hear it go well loud.
It might do, Carl, but then you're replacing, you're replacing that gritty atmosphere that we've got with day trippers who just come and sing March On together and don't sing for the rest of the game.
Sit and eat the sandwiches and clap politely.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to spin us through some comments.
Let me just address this.
Sorry, go on.
Oh, not that one. Let me just address this one. Spurs Stadium might be the best looking and it might look the best, but it is absolutely one of the worst for atmosphere. Yeah. Carl will vouch for that with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I've heard bad things about West Ham as well, but Spurs is up there in terms of atmosphere.
That's worse. West Ham's worse.
Yeah. Yeah. West Ham is shit. It's like you're watching it from the surface of the moon. I will keep digging. It's what I do best. I do like a shovel. I've had the same shovel for about 30 years now. I've only changed the head 4 times and the handle 6.
All right, Trigger. I'm going to move on to some of these comments that we've got starred. Jonathan Brooks says, Aronson is a baller. Pascal is the Don. The only thing I would say to that is we took Aronson off and then won. James B says, was in the cop. My dad screamed in my ear and accidentally bit it. Hugging everyone around me, people climbing around the stadium. It was the best experience we've had yet. Yeah. The cop has been quite sedate, so for the cop to be up like that is a big deal. So that's a good one. Skip asked us a question. Carl, I'll come to you first. Would you take any of Bielsa's Championship starting 11 in Farke's starting 11?
Stuart, Dallas, and Phillips fit them in somewhere.
Pablo.
You're gonna have to say where.
Pablo. And
who are you dropping for Stewie D, Carl?
Well, if Gruev is starting, I'm dropping Gruev.
So who are you starting in midfield? Who are you swapping him?
I'm taking Gruev out and putting Dallas in there.
Okay, where are you starting Phillips?
And then we're putting Ampadu back at centre back and put Phillips in front of that defence and just take Stroik out.
So you're having 3 central midfielders. So we're having 12 players.
I've taken 2 players out and 2 players in, you fucking gombean. Listen to what I'm saying. I said Stuart Dallas and Calvin Phillips, and then you take out Gruev, and I did fuck that up. Someone in the comments said I should be sacked. You know what? I'm starting to fucking agree with them. Who said it? Where is it? It's there somewhere. Where is it? Yeah,
I mean, you're
there it
talking
is.
up the scum
Russ.
ground, and then you
Look, yeah, right, Russ. You fucking. I'm off the HR now after this.
Luke, are you taking out any of this starting 11 for the Bielsa starting 11 in the Championship?
Depends. It very much depends on who's going to be managing us, because in a Bielsa system, I would argue that team would give this team a run for the money against Farke's system and Farke's team. But I also I shouted out Pablo a moment or two ago, but do I think Pablo would be as effective in this team as what Aronson is? Because they do two totally different things. I know it's very easy for you to say, but for anybody who actually watches football and understands it, they'll understand and appreciate exactly what Brendan Aronson does bring to the team. So it's very, very different. I would probably make way for Pablo, and I think I'd probably risk putting him in over Brendan.
Yeah, I mean, that's a straightforward one for me. Absolutely. Nailed on. The amount of movement and the amount of pace in this side with Pablo pulling the strings and laying on the passes, it would be scary. Yeah. So, yeah.
I would probably make room for Phillips as well. I'd probably play him and Tanaka at centre midfield, defensive midfield. Or play Tanaka slightly
centre back.
Yeah, move Ampadu to centre back.
Do you think would Joseph have more goals if Pablo was the one supplying him with football?
Well, no, because he won't be playing in front of Pirro. Pirro would have more goals.
Well, okay, fair enough.
Pirro would have more goals if it weren't for the useless twat behind him. So replace him, and Pirro's got more goals. Moving us on.
He's missed a load as well.
Yeah, but he scored a load. Top scorer. Jonathan Brooks says, we're a damaged fan base, but nights like Monday make it so worth it. So one of the conversations we had while leaving the stadium was, you go through that shit. So there were no sympathy for the Sunderland fans, but we know where they are. We talked about the away fixture and the fact that their equaliser, so unluckily when we'd been in such control of the game, came so late on in that game. But equally, we mentioned Wigan, 10-man Wigan. 1-0 down, 10-man Wigan coming back to beat us. And it's the times like that's the real lows that make the highs like the Sunderland game and the Leicester game all the more sweeter, don't they?
Oh, yeah. Jesus, like, you don't put yourself through years of torture to not enjoy the times when they're sweet. Like, it's like an abusive relationship sometimes. And when the times are good, they're really fucking good. Like, you know what I mean? But when they're bad, like we've witnessed nearly 15 years of pure headfuck, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we get this delightful man who's able to give us football that no one in England has ever really watched before, and they like to say that he had the Bielsa press and Football Manager back in the early 2000s and that. Like, it's bonkers. Like, but then you have the lows, but then we're high as kites now at the moment. We're talking about going up already, and we still have 12, 13 games left. It's madness. So I think we're just up and down like yo-yos all the time. But we are a damaged fan base. Yeah,
we are. Danny Talk Sports saying everyone forgetting Raf. No. We didn't have Raf in the Championship. Yeah. And the question was Championship 11 versus Championship 11. So just to clear that one up. Just a couple more then. Danny, again, mentions the 49ers are on the verge of buying Rangers. I'm not so sure that affects us. They're not in our league system, and we're not in Europe. So I'm not so sure that affects us too much. The people that are on the board will remain on the board. And it might be that, and I've not looked at any of this, but I assume that's 49ers Enterprises, which again is just a financial vehicle. So I don't think that affects us too much, but it would be good for us to understand a little more. And Claire Oxenham's in the comments as well. Welcome along, Claire, saying, let's just say we're not getting relegated. Now, the one thing that we do know is we're definitely not getting relegated because it is now mathematically impossible for us to do so. So that is one positive message. It feels ludicrous that we're only recently able to say that we're mathematically not getting relegated, given where we are in the league and what that looks like. But but the craziness of the league is, there's 10 points back to Sunderland, but they're 11 points in front of Blackburn, and West Brom are in 6th, are less than 20 points ahead of Derby, who are in 22nd, which is just, it's madness, this league. Anybody can go down still. It's not close at all. It's not cut and dry at all in terms of that. So
it's numerically not a word or something, because Jay's throwing digs out with the word numerically, because I used it earlier and I don't know what he's on about. That makes sense.
Not numerically possible.
That's what I said.
For us to get relegated. Well, I don't know. He said impossible. So if he was saying that, not numerically impossible would be the wrong way around.
The little dweeb.
They are definitely words. So just bringing us on then, and this message that's been starred for me to bring up here brings us nicely on to the next part of the conversation is, Luke, would you be happy with a draw Monday night?
Yes.
Carl?
Yeah, but if we're playing well and we don't score more than one, then I'll be annoyed. But if we're playing kind of like it was against Burnley and we get a draw, I'll be all right. So depending on how we play will determine how happy I am with the result, I guess. Okay.
Jay's back in the comments saying, you said numerically when mathematically would have been the correct word. Shame on Gill if you're not knowing this. They are synonymous. That's absolutely fine. They are synonymous with each other. It's fine.
Your little Stegosaurus brain can't compute that. Doesn't mean everyone else can.
I prefer culinary corner, lads, not this fucking English dictionary
Get Rachel
corner.
Riley on next.
Yeah. Oh, well, okay. I'll enjoy it then, actually. I get her on.
Calm down, Carl.
Yeah, Carl's only excited because that's another scummer.
Come back to mine. That's a lot of in brine.
Oh God. Right, so it takes us on to conversation of we've got a week. The squad have got a week to prepare for the next game. It is Sheffield United. It is first versus second. Neither can be caught by Burnley regardless of what happens. So it's an interesting one, this, and I think it's balanced on a knife edge, isn't it? If you look at the form over the last 6, we've drawn 1, they've lost 1, and we've both won the rest of those games. 2 points between us, but we've got double their goal difference. It's interesting thinking that we'd be okay with a draw. This is our most difficult fixture left. The league position tells us so. Where they are. It should be our most difficult remaining.
And we beat them comfortably at home.
So it's a strange one, isn't it? Because Sunderland felt like a defeat, but having taken a point at theirs and beaten them at home, actually it doesn't look so bad anymore, does it? Is that fair to say? No. The fact that we took a draw at theirs.
No, I mean a draw is good for both sides. I think both sides will be happy with a draw come Monday night. It keeps the points ticking over, and then numerically, eventually, we may be safe. But I think a draw would suit both sides, and it probably wouldn't suit Burnley or Sunderland. I think they'd be pretty pissed off if one of us didn't take points from the other. However, if Sheffield United win, it just that puts them only a point in front. And if they keep on winning, I suppose, I don't know what they want. What would you want if you're a Burnley fan in this position? Would you want the points shared because there's only 2 points being shared rather than, or would they want Leeds to win and run away with it and make it a 2-horse race for second? Or do you know? I honestly don't know.
I think going on how we played last year, what happened, rolled out last year with how we were doing, I think the team in second, they'd be more happy with losing. So obviously Sheffield United to lose on Monday would benefit them more, because it drags Sheffield United into the possibility of finishing in the playoffs more so than Burnley being able to catch us at the present time. So I think to fixate on second place for them is a priority. So they'll probably prefer us to beat Sheffield United, because the possibility of them falling into the playoffs is more likely than if they hit a bad patch in the last dozen or so games,
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think if we reflect on our own experience, when we were doing the chasing, I was saying on this very podcast, I want fewer points handed out. So I'd like them to draw so that we've got a better opportunity of finishing top. And we saw how that went. We finished third. So maybe I got that wrong at that point, and it would be better for that. Certainly for anybody that's not Sheffield United, it would be better for us to just run away with it. Yeah. I think that's the case. But ultimately, I think Blackburn and West Brom, it doesn't matter for me from this point on. I cannot see them finishing top two. Blackburn are on 51 and Sheffield United are on 70. We're on 72. It's just I cannot see that happening. So that's that for me is one. But Sheff Wednesday are 3 points off the playoffs, which is just crazy. It's mad when you look at the various permutations. That you've got West Brom on 48, Coventry on 47 in 7th, Bristol on 46 in 8th, Wednesday on 45 joint with Watford in 9th and 10th. And just, then there's another 3 teams on 44, Middlesbrough, Norwich and QPR. It's a mad day.
Down to 15th, there is only 2 wins between being 15th and being in the playoffs.
Yeah. I love the championship, man. It's so fucking good when you're not in that mix-up right there. When you're at the top, it's fine. But just watching what happens below is fantastic as a neutral looking at all that. Like, it's mad.
It is mad. Absolutely mad. But then you look at our goal difference and you look at our points, and it's great. It's fantastic. It's lovely being up there, isn't it?
You've got to be able to enjoy it, haven't you?
Yeah. One thing that I didn't touch on was the Sunderland fans singing Leeds are falling apart, half an hour into game, and being able to stuff that back in their faces at full time is just, it's wonderful, isn't it? You live for that. You live for that.
Yeah, you do. That's the shithousery that you hope and pray comes at the final whistle, and Lee, what's his name, the announcer, didn't waste any time with the songs. As soon as that final whistle, I don't even think the ref had a chance to finish blowing for full time, and he had I Predict a Riot straight on. And I was like, this guy's giddy up in that box, man. Take that sound desk off him, because he's absolutely losing it.
What do you think of this? Our goal difference is worth a 3 point, but only if they finish on the same points. Because if Sheffield United are a point in front of us, that isn't a 3 point. That goal difference, is it? For obvious reasons.
Yeah, it's one of those where I think for them it's another level of how insurmountable it could be, because they're just not overhauling that other. So I think that it's a point worth making, is that. Because it just makes it that bit more difficult for them to get parity, because they're not going to overcome that goal difference now. We've got double Sheffield United. It's just not happening, which in itself is madness. Okay, so question I wanted to ask then, Carl, you've dropped Gruev out of that 11, 11 versus 11.
Oh, the 12, is it?
Oh, the 12. Yeah, depending on how 12, your fingers are working. He for me, he had one of his poorest games he's had in the lead shirt last night. I thought he were poor.
Last night?
Night before. Keep doing that. Night before. He's set a high standard, and I think he fell short of his own high standard. But we've spoken on the podcast before about how effective we are with a DM in away games, rather than it being the more attacking Rothwell in place of Gruev. However, there's also the permutation that you could start Striker and have Ampadu in that role. So what are you doing in midfield, Carl, in that Sheffield United game?
Well, whatever I say isn't going to happen anyway, so I'm glad I don't have to make those decisions on the day. But I think you definitely bring Tanaka in there, and he's mentioned already that he doesn't want to rush Strike back into playing, 80, 90 minutes. So I think he will start with Ampadu again at the back with Rodon. We'll probably see Strike get a little bit more time, maybe half hour, more so than he did on Monday night. And I think I don't know what it was with Gruev on Monday night. His set pieces were absolutely dire, and sometimes that can kind of get into a player's head that, like, his first set piece didn't get above knee level and hit the first man, the first corner he took, he just booted it away. And sometimes that can get in your head, and maybe that was just something that kind of got in his head a little bit. He was like, am I going to have one of them games? And once you get that in your head, you're like, it's hard to get that out of it. So I think maybe with a game the way it is at the moment, I think maybe bring Rothwell back in there with Tanaka, and if it's going our way, shore things up by bringing Gruev in for maybe 20, 25 minutes if we're having our way the way we want it to be,
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Luke, in terms of the overall lineup, I think we see relatively static lineups from Farke. You tend to know what the sides are going to be. Do you envisage there being any changes?
I think there'll be zero changes from the start in lineup on Monday night, and how we set up for the majority of away games. Gruev, for all his poor free kicks, was very good defensively and nullified their attacking threat in Job, Bellingham, and whoever else was available for him, Chris Rigg and whatever else. But and I think that's probably what we're going to need against Sheffield United. They've got some good attacking players, and at home, the tails will be up. And I think certainly for the first 60, 70 minutes, it's going to be a bit of a chess game. Albeit, I think we're probably the better side. I think he'll go for structure and solidity rather than that little bit extra little bit more attacking prowess. So I think we'll probably see Gruev in there rather than potentially Rothwell or Ampadu coming into midfield and starting Strike. I think it'll be the same starting 11.
Fair. Would you take any of their players?
The start of the season, yeah, I'd have taken Hamer. I would probably have taken Callum O'Hare, who's been very, very poor for him recently, by all accounts, by their fans' feedback. Would I take anybody else? I wouldn't have minded Ben Burton Diaz they brought in the winter. The left back Burrows as well, good player. But would I take any of them now? No, because we know that we know the characteristics of this team now. We know that they're all gelled, and we know that what they bring to each other. I wouldn't want to upset the apple cart, so to speak. I mean, I know we're talking hypothetically here, and we're not talking about just going and pinching one of them and asking them to play in probably yellow at the weekend or whatever. But no, I wouldn't.
Fair. No, I think that's the right answer. If you look at the league table, it shows you that it's close in terms of the output and the capability that each side have shown over the course of the season so far. But looking at the players and the way that they're playing at the moment, I'm not looking to change much. Let's say. Okay, no, that's fair. So. From a perspective of, hang on a minute, I need to get it ready. I want a bit of this.
Auto no better predictions.
It's like clockwork this at time, isn't it? Yeah. No problem at all. And unfortunately, Luke is. If it hadn't been for Lee Fryer, Luke would be flying here and breaking all sorts of records. He's just being beaten by the better man at the moment. But in terms of the predictions, Luke, coming to you first. Where are you going on this one?
I think it'll be a draw. However, I want to see a win. So I'm going to go 2-1 Leeds.
And I reckon there's probably one already in our comments, so I'll pick that up in a second. Carl?
See, realistically, Luke's probably got the correct scoreline. Fuck it. I'll just go 3-1 again. Sure, fuck it. Why not?
Let's have a look and see if
I'm only shooting myself in the foot here. Like, I might get a point anyway, so it'll be sound.
Richard
Hogan's
I
gone
think, was
2-1
first.
Leeds.
Yeah. 2-1 Leeds. And I was stuck between 3-1 and 2-1. But now you two have gone that. Well, I've got to do. I'm starting to think a little bit like you, Luke. We're trying to outdo Lee, because if they'd have not conceded the 1, then you'd have had 5 points and he'd have only got 1. I'm nowhere. I need to do something different. I think we are going to scrape a win, but that's not what I'm predicting. I'm predicting a draw. I'm going 1-1.
Boring.
Yeah.
Boring. Would you have still predicted a draw if you still got the -3 that you would have got last season?
No, because I don't think that's going to be the result. I'm just hedging my bets, trying to get a 5-pointer. I think 2-1 is probably on the money. But I need to do something different to you to try and get somewhere near.
Yeah.
So I've cheated the system slightly. Okay. Is there anything else? So hang on. Have we got any other comments? Where's the? I don't have the bit at the top that shows me if any have been starred. So I'm presuming they haven't been.
Them, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to say Richard Hogan is 2-footing the shit out of Jay in the comments.
Good.
He's fucking having at it.
Jay, that's an incredibly poor hot take, because it won't happen. I think, isn't that the definition of a hot take? It's shit. Okay.
Oh, Jay's going 3-2 there, Gilly.
Jay is
3-2.
3-2. Right.
A daft bastard.
I'm assuming that is for Leeds. Yeah, so we'll do our traditional AMC spiel. Anybody got anything to say before we do?
No.
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
No, nothing really.
I'm good.
No, I think we've done it justice there. That we've had a lot to say about. I think this is the biggest game of our season, and if we can pick up another win, that will be the Pablo moment for me. Beating them in their own back garden as well. So it would be nice, but I would certainly take a draw.
Yeah.
Cool. Fair enough.
I've gone 3-1, so fuck
it. Cool. You said you had something ready, Luke. Do you want to take that away?
Yeah, certainly, mate. Just the usual bits that come from Lee Fryer, one of the facilitators at Andy's Man Club. I think which one does he do? Is it Kirkstall?
I'm not sure which one he's at, to be honest.
I'm not sure actually.
I think
we should find out maybe.
We should.
Anyway, if you're going through a storm or have recently been through one and you're a man over 18, perhaps Andy's Man Club Leeds may be able to help you. They have venues in Kirkstall, Pudsey, Central Leeds, Beeston, Seacroft and Morley, and they're open 7 to 9 every Monday, barring bank holidays. They also run weekly and monthly social events with the aim to get men talking and to smash the stigma around mental health. Details of their venues and everything they're doing is at Andy's Man Club Leeds Facebook. So give them a follow, and us actually, why not? And help spread the word.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much for that, Luke. Last chance. Anything else you want to mention before we go?
I've subjected the people to enough shite talk for one night.
Just how good
our poll result.
Oh, we have, yes. Well remembered. So
that shit take that you were about to have.
No, that wasn't a shit take. So the poll this week was Leeds not big enough, got 33% and finished in second place. Sale starts day one and Super Strike of Luck both finished with 12% each, equal third and fourth. And Raf went missing. He was shite. Wins with 44% quite comfortably.
Yeah,
I think we all saw that coming. I mean, that is just an incredibly poor take. So no, that's fair. Go on, Luke. Say what you're saying.
I'd just like to say how much of a baller Brendan Aronson is, really.
Come on, dude.